times the way school education has evolved, and if you look at the learning, the whole learning experience, which has now gone from a classroom environment to a virtual environment, and in a very small period of time, how efficiently most of the schools have been able to integrate in their system. So hats off to all the teachers and educators who have been able to manage over this rolling crisis of COVID. And with that, taking a lot of inspiration from the educators from the school education domain, affairs, exhibitions, and media, which we have been able to conduct the last 9 years successful series of schools exhibitions, not only in Gurgaon but many other places. We also thought not to miss this opportunity and continue serving large number of parents in terms of helping them choosing the right school for their children. So virtual edition is the first editions, though little hiccups are there in technology, but we have to embrace technology and move ahead with a smiling face. So that's what we are doing. And this is an amazing moment. Why? Because the esteemed panelist is going to share a lot of insights to the whole lot of parents who are attending this session. I can see the numbers gone. 75 attendees are already there and here to explore the understanding on different boards. So I'll not take much time. I'm coming, and this is my privilege to introduce the speakers here and the esteemed panelists. I'll start with Dr. Neeta Bali. And please forgive me to making your introduction a little shorter this time because we want to start the engagement very quickly. So Dr. Neeta Bali is a very renowned educationist, very popular and known in this education fraternity with 34 years of experience. She is heading as the director principal of GD Goenka World School. She has vast experience in integrating international curriculum within the school system, and she is a domain expertise, especially when it starts with IB and also with Cambridge. And with recent development and a lot of work going on the CBSE and ICC side, even Mrs. Bali has introduced a new curriculum, which is an ICSE running in the same group of schools. Thank you, Mrs. Bali. I think you're so popular. People know about your profile very well. So I'll thank you very much and welcome to this session. And I'll move on to Dhriti ma'am, Mrs. Dhriti Malhotra. I think welcome, ma'am, and for joining this session. And I know there's a lot of effort all of you have put in coming and sharing your experience here with a lot of attendees attending this session. Dhriti ma'am is heading as a director principal with Manav Ratna International School Sector 46. She's also played significant roles in different positions in promoting this education group of Manav Ratna group of institution. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining this session.
Thank you.
I'm coming now to Mrs. Soumya Gulati. Soumya ma'am is the academic development head and innovation as a deputy director. She is heading the Bluebells group of schools, and Soumya ma'am is always being very actively involved in developing the curriculum as well as in developing the new technologies, new pedagogies within the school education system. And she has been very instrumental in bringing in forefront the new practices in school education sector. Soumya ma'am, welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining this session. Last but not the least, yes, ma'am. So your voice is not audible, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Just give me a moment. I was just rolling the session here. Just a moment. So Seema ma'am, I'll just we'll start the discussion. Seema ma'am, last but not the least, the secondary head schools of DPS International has also joined in as one of the speaker here. And Seema ma'am, welcome here. And I will just try and fix up some issues facing with two speakers. Neeta ma'am, am I audible to you? Okay, so I'm coming back to Neeta ma'am, and I'll start the issue. So can I start? Can I request Dhriti ma'am to roll this discussion forward on this topic on understanding different boards, since you are an expert with a CBSE curriculum? So can we start rolling this discussion forward with CBSE? And I know little crunches and hiccups are there in technology, but that's all about, we have to embrace it and move ahead. So over to you, Dhriti ma'am.
So, if we talk about the Central Board of Secondary Education, I think this is one of the most recognized national board in India and definitely abroad too. There are around 19,000 schools
Ma'am,
in
ma'am,
India
can
and
you give me a
141
second?
schools in 21 countries who are affiliated to the
Yeah, is that
CBSE.
okay?
Um, it
And
has a nationwide
and
presence, definitely.
okay.
The courses that are set by the NCRT, based on the NCRT curriculum, caters to the Indian diversity and the Indian diversity effectively and, of course, more suitably. And of course, the important exams are the grade 10th exam and the grade 12th exam that the children sit for when they are in the school. This also, conducts, CBSE also conducts all national level competitive exams like an IIT or a JEE or a NEET, which gives an edge for students who have studied the CBSE curriculum. So CBSE, of course, as I said, it is a curriculum which is it's a board basically where it is recognized all over India, and we have a lot of schools abroad too. And definitely with CBSE as the base, children and parents, of course, find it very, very comfortable for children who are preparing for these national level competitive exams. The examination structure is student friendly. It is a mix of multiple testing options like pen and paper, which has UTs and essays and FAs, and then the experiential learning approach too, which addresses multiple intelligences, caters to diversity of Indian ethos and perspectives, and of course, there is a low failure rate in exams. The curriculum is very comprehensive. It prepares the students, again, as I said, for the national level exams, which are conducted by the CBSE. Uh, with the changing times, the CBSE is also evolving and putting in a lot of features which would have the children future ready. Now, there is importance to physical well being, fitness, and sports. There are national level symposiums that are conducted. There are webinars and programs. And of course, the latest, the Fit India and the Khelo India movement, which has been initiated by the CBSE. There are varied choices of subjects and streams. Now, what happens is the CBSE gives you a big basket of subjects where you can choose from. Of course, till now, what was happening was in all the CBSE schools that the children were probably divided, I would say, into different streams. Where there would be a commerce stream, there would be a PCM and a PCB and a humanities stream. But we see a lot of change coming in there also, where now a variety of subjects have been definitely introduced, skill based subjects also, and of course vocational, lots of vocational subjects which have the children ready for the future. And of course Hindi and English are the main languages, and of course an importance is also given to the regional languages, where you can choose a regional language, and of course the international languages too. A lot of professional development programs are conducted by the CBSE, which help the teachers, the staff, to prepare the children for future. I mean, there's a lot that we learn from these symposiums and these seminars. Of course, there are professional development programs, a lot of them again for the staff members too. The additional benefits that I see with the CBSE are that the students can get coaching of any subject easily, as many trained teachers teaching these subjects are available. and good for students whose parents are in transferable jobs, because you find CBSE schools almost everywhere. They say CBSE is for the masses. So schools are available in every corner where, if you happen to move from one place to the other, you can look for a CBSE school. And of course, definitely it's much easier than the IB and the IGCSE. Definitely, the levels are definitely different. I just saw a question here, where somebody's asking whether a child studying in a CBSE can move to an ICSE or an IB board. Yes, why not? Of course, they can. Definitely, there is a difference in the level, definitely. But yes, they can very, very easily adjust to the CBSE curriculum. CBSE board offers the curriculum a varied and a wide, spectrum of curriculum, which is easily accessible, and children can follow the curriculum very well. So CBSE is doing very well. And as I said again, with the changing times, there are a lot of changes coming in the CBSE curriculum. A lot of emphasis on creativity, on skill based, on vocational education. So when all this is added on, I think it will be at par with any international curriculum. Thank you. We can't hear you, Vivek.
Neeta ma'am, can I request you? Neeta ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Yes. Am I
Yes, ma'am.
audible?
So yes, you are audible. So, ma'am, I think the most important point here, I think your perspective on the IB sides as an opening thing, so that people should get an opportunity to understand overview about IB and how, and especially the differentiators point, ma'am.
Right. If I were to talk about the international curricula, essentially there are two international curricula to speak of. One is the IB run programs. IB runs three programs: the PYP, which is for grades nursery to 5, the MYP, which is grades 6 to 10, and the IBDP, which is for grades 11 and 12. The other board is CAIE, or what is commonly called Cambridge International. Now, they run four programs: Cambridge Primary, CLS, or what is called the Cambridge Lower Secondary, the IGCSE, and the ASN A levels. Now, if I were to talk about how do these programs pan out, a lot of parents who are part of a moving population, a lot of parents who move from one country to another, people who work in multinational organizations, or people who tend to move from one country to another, or those who are desirous of studying international programs for a global outlook, they opt for these programs. Let me tell you very quickly about what is the differentiator that makes these programs quite unique compared to the national curriculum, which of course has its own strengths. Let me talk about IB. Now, there is one thing about IB, the fact that it is a research-based program, a program that does not insist on rote learning, a program which is based on the spirit of inquiry, a program that prods children to ferret out information, and a program that asks children to reflect on their learning and actually teaches them to learn how to learn. The focus is not on content, the focus is on skills. And the beauty is that now NEP, I think, will also be bringing in this. The focus is on skills and on learner attributes. There are 10 distinct learner attributes that every IB learner, whether a PYP student or an MYP or an IBDP student, they're supposed to imbibe. And they're supposed to instill these 10 learner attributes. Now, if I were to talk about, let us say, if I were to talk about the school leaving qualification, grades 11 and 12, children in grades 11 and 12, year 1 and 2 IB study 6 subjects, 3 at the higher level and 3 at the standard level. Apart from that, they study 3 core components, which is extended essay, theory of knowledge, and CAS. CAS is creativity, activity, and service. Now, that's a tall order, right? Studying 6 subjects and then writing a small thesis of 4,000 words writing another unique essay which has to be uniquely yours. There cannot be plagiarism because there are very, very strong rules about academic honesty and plagiarism. So children learn from a very young age. Children start picking up the jargon like this, academic honesty, plagiarism, referencing. Um, so these are skills that they pick up at a very, very young age. Um, but having said that, as Briti said, the IB Run programs are very rigorous in nature. I repeat, they're very rigorous in nature. Any student to be able to get a diploma must secure a minimum of 24 points and must meet a number of other benchmarks to be able to get the diploma. A minimum of 4 on 7 in the higher level subjects, a minimum of 3 on 7 on the standard level subjects. I'm talking about the lower end, the lower rank. If you do not get any of these, and you're supposed to get at least 2 on 3 in the core components, if you fail to get any of these, you do not qualify for a diploma. But at the same time, there is no concept of failure. Those who don't get a diploma are still considered they get the courses. So Tier 2 and Tier 3 universities will take them. But definitely, those students who get a diploma can aspire to some of the best universities, not just in India, but in the world. Now, if I talk about Cambridge, Cambridge students on the school leaving qualification, the AS and A level, do not have to study 6 subjects. They are required to study between 2 and 3 subjects according to AIU, Association of Indian Universities. And across the world, you can study 3 subjects, at maybe 2 subjects at the A levels and 1 at the AS level. Though, of course, we insist that our children study at least 3 A levels and 1 AS, which is general English. So, in terms of quantum of work, there is lesser work in Cambridge, although the depth is more. 2, there is no internal assessment component. Internal assessment component in Cambridge is much, much lesser than IB. IB relies essentially, it does not rely only on end of the year examination like the CBSE. CBSE also does have some parts of internal assessment component. However, the internal assessment component is very strong in IB. So you don't rely only on end of the year examination. Study as such is, learning is cumulative. Learning is cumulative in IB. And this is what distinguishes IB from the other curricula. In comparison to IB run programs, Cambridge definitely relies quite heavily on end of the year examination. So it's somewhere that way, it's a little closer to the national curriculum, right?
Wonderful, ma'am, Neeta, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving, I think in detail, breaking up the structure of IB and Cambridge and explaining in very details so that parents can understand very well. I'm coming to Soumya, ma'am. Soumya, ma'am, I think first I would request you to give your overview on the subject. And I appreciate the kind of small questions which is coming from the audience. I think this shows we really having a fantastic audience. So please keep picking up some questions. Soumya ma'am, please start with your opening remarks on this subject, and then we will start addressing these questions.
Good evening, everybody. I think CBSE as a board really does not need any introduction, but what needs reformation and a reiteration to parents across the nation, and especially to the city of Gurugram, where we are catering to, is that CBSE is not about rote memorization, is not about rote learning anymore. In fact, that I would say that stopped a couple of years back. Had that been the case, we would not even be equipping students for jobs of today. Forget about jobs of tomorrow. CBSE is no longer about rote memorization. Gone are the days when we grew out of that system. And the NEP 2020 only reaffirms that faith. There's a lot of scope now in all the progressive schools of Gurugram, especially all CBSE affiliated schools are now focusing on the spirit of exploration, curiosity, creativity. The curriculum, the classroom transactions are inquiry driven. And in fact, CBSE for the past couple of years has been adopting a theme. And last year, the theme across all CBSE schools was about experiential learning. And the experiential learning program as a mandate has been launched by CBSE on Diksha portal, which is it is mandatory for all educators to be trained on it. So obviously, when your educators are getting trained, it is getting implemented in schools. So the spirit of inquiry, curiosity, experiential learning, the joy of discovery, it has all found a place in all CBSE progressive curriculums. NEP, in fact, is now talking about lots of hands-on projects coming in and bagless days. And bagless days are actually going to be internship, 10-day small internship programs, which are going to be built in the curriculum. And imagine the beauty of it when your children are getting into working with local artisans, people related to very different fields, to get trained, to get seek in hands-on learning and further, gauge their own interest. So this is what CBSE of today is all about. And parents looking at admission this year for the next session onwards, their children are the ones who are really going to benefit a lot. So definitely all CBSE schools are now geared up for this. There's a lot of focus on the sustainable development goals laid down by UNICEF. There's a lot of talk of equity and excellence in the education system itself. That's my submission for CBSE of today. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Seema ma'am, I'm coming to you. You with your perspective is one side. Please give your perspective. Second thing, I think let me also ask you to take the question of Ruhi Basi. And Ruhi Basi, she's asking, maximum schools do not focus on communication skills, right? Is it true that only ICSE and IB focus on language capabilities? So I think while addressing your perspective on IB, if you can also include this question in your perspective.
Hi, good evening, folks. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes, now we can hear you.
Finally. All right, I'd like to begin busting a myth about the International Baccalaureate, and that would be to say that international education is for Indians aspiring to study abroad. Any education which is quality education will help you in your country, help you abroad, no matter where you go. So, International Baccalaureate education was set up so that children of parents who were traveling widely would have uniform educational practices no matter where they went. However, countries realized that the curriculum was much ahead of time. It was already embracing that should be a part of education, and it is a very, very heartening time for all of us educationalists and practitioners that the NEP is so widely influenced by the practices which have been propagated by IB for several years. So it's wonderful that the benefit of the international thought, international minds are silently, slowly going to percolate in the educational system. There's nothing better than that. As far as communication skills that you talked about, any educational system, I would say every school aspires to hone all kinds of children. Our mission and vision statement is that we should turn out holistic individuals. School aspires to do that. However, there are some schools and there are some curricula that inbuilt practices which hone curriculum communication skills. For instance, in the IB, we have what is known as approaches to learning and approaches to teaching. Now, these ATL skills, the short form for approaches to learning is ATL. These ATL skills are embedded in the unit plan. So, if decides that for the particular unit she's going to hone, she's going to work on the communication, which could be written, which could be oral communication skills. She is going to do selective activities to promote those skills.
Seema ma'am, just sorry to interrupt you in between, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you. Can you just, because your voice is not very clear, can you just switch off your camera so that you get more bandwidth so that we can hear you clearly? Just put off your camera.
Yeah, do that. Hope I don't disappear.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, at least continue, ma'am. No problem. Not very clearly, but we can hear you.
All right. I'm moving closer to the phone now.
Yeah, please.
All right. So I was talking about approaches to learning, approaches
Correct.
to teaching, And these are inbuilt in the curriculum. They're embedded in the unit plans that the teacher teaches. So if the teacher has decided that she's going to work on the oral communication, then the activities that she performs during the unit, it is experiential, it is inquiry-based learning, will be focused on written and oral communication. There'll be compare and contrast essays. There will be interviews that a child will write, make a blog entry and a blog report. A child will possibly have a Skype interview with children in another country, understand that unit better. So the teacher will make sure that through a set of very many activities, she has worked on the children's written and oral communication. Now, this decidedly, I mean, we're all products of schools, and much are proud of what we've studied because they've helped us become who we are. This was something that we were derived of. I strongly feel that the Indian education system, as of now, is bereft of so many opportunities that you can give to children. So in this regard, I would agree with the parent. I would like to tell the parent, yes, there is a focused attention towards development of communication skills, which are both written and oral communication skills, besides the other skills that we are taking care of. But since the question was about communication, I hope I've made the fact more clear.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very much. Now you can put on your camera. I'm coming to Neeta ma'am. Neeta ma'am, in brief, I think there's also a question from one of the attendees, and he wants a little brief on ICSE as well, because we have discussed about CBSE and IB. And in terms of ma'am, every board is having, is working, has become very popular. So CBSE being one of the oldest board, as well as ICSE. Now with the changing times, new boards in last 15 years, or maybe more than that, IB and Cambridge got introduced, and that's how it's becoming popular year after year. More number of schools are offering these curriculums. Now, as a parent, how a parent should also identify his or her need, and on what basis they should subscribe to different boards. I think, what are the 2-3 parameters they should consider before subscribing to these boards, because I think all the boards have their own uniqueness. So on little tips on that will also help the parent, and that's a question I noticed from one of the attendees as well.
You'd like?
Yes, ma'am.
You'd like me to answer that?
Yes, ma'am.
Vivek, every parent will have their own unique needs, as you very rightly said. Every parent will have their own unique needs. The national curriculum is very rich. It is, and so is the CISCE accredited curricula, that is the ICSE and the ISE. Both these are time tested and very, very popular. But let me put it this way. If we talk in terms of the cost that a parent is likely to incur, you are likely to incur one, lesser cost to educate your children if you are in a CBSE school or an ICSE and ISE school, vis-a-vis the international school where the fee are higher. And I'll tell you, the reason is legitimate. Why is the fee higher? Because schools that run the international curricula have to pay an annual fee to IB and to Cambridge. And therefore, the cost of education in an international school will be higher. So one is the cost, depends on what kind of a cost are you willing, what kind of money are you willing to invest on your child's education. What is it? I mean, do you have the wherewithal to be able to afford, a more expensive education? So cost is definitely one factor. The other is, CBSE, in fact, as British said, CBSE and also ICSE, these are schools that are spread all across the country and overseas as well. But having said that, each parent will have their own mindset. CBSE schools will teach you the content which is very relevant to India, but may not be able to give you the kind of global outlook that an international curriculum will give you. Parents who are always on the move, as I said initially when I started talking, that parents who are working with multinationals and who are likely to move from one country to another, are very likely, when the transition for the children becomes that much simpler, you will always find a good IB school in every country worth its salt. You will find a good Cambridge school in every country that you go to. So parents who are constantly moving, I think for them, the international curricula makes much more sense. Three, as I said, a lot of parents may not put a very high premium on skills. See, because all of us have studied in conventional CBSE schools. Having said that, I still find a lot of parents who tell us, why don't you give homework? My kid who's studying, my friend's kid who's studying in a CBSE school gets so much written work. Now, that is a mindset. For us in an international school, a lot of learning happens within the school hours. So there is really no need for the children to be burdened with more work when they go home, because that work looks like it's homework for the parents. Parents look forward to the homework, maybe because for whatever reasons. So they look forward to that homework. For us, a lot of learning happens in the classroom. And finally, the thing is, if you want to teach children the skills of learning how to learn, if you're not focusing on content, then you have to look at the international curriculum or at the international curriculum. Although with the NEP, I can see that there is going to be a sea change in the coming years.
Wonderful.
So basically, I think these are the factors that you need to keep in mind when choosing a school for your child.
Yes, ma'am.
The only point I wanted to make here was that
I hope you have
even if we are CBSE schools, right? But then till grade 5, there's a lot of freedom.
Somebody has put a question here. Rohit Shukla put a question. Does a single school offer multiple boards? GD Goenka offering CBSE, IB, Cambridge. Yes, we offer multiple boards. We don't offer CBSE, but we offer IB and Cambridge. And the children can decide between the two. Parent and child are taken through an orientation, and they can decide which board do they wish to opt for. Which board do they wish to opt for? Am I audible?
Yes, very much, ma'am. You're audible, ma'am. Thank you so much, Mrs. Bali.
Everybody just blank out. So I have to wonder.
Okay, over to you, ma'am. I'm coming to Mrs. Dhriti, ma'am. Please continue.
No, I was just saying that even if there are a lot of CBSE schools and, but I think till grade 5, I think Soumya will agree with me here. There's a lot of internationalism we bring into the curriculum, right? It's not only the local but the global also that is taken into consideration. So there are times when you pick up the best of all the curriculums also, because though you are following what the NCERT tells you, the learning curve goes accordingly, but then how you do it is different, right? So that content is there in all the CBSE schools also, let me tell you. And of course, 6th onwards, even if we follow what the CBSE tells us to, but then there are ways and means that we bring the internationalism in. So the children are not lagging. They're not losing out on anything. That's the only point I wanted to make. I think Soumya will add to it.
Yeah, if I may just, Vivek, with your permission, if I may just add to what Dhriti ma'am said. See, it's like, along with choosing a board, what the parent needs to see it, how is the school transacting the curriculum? What is the pulse, the classroom transaction? How is it happening? Does the school, Dhriti ma'am very rightly said that up to grade 5, I would say there's a lot of flexibility which the board gives you up to grade 8. Does the school have its own, let's say, a reading program? Is the school focusing on the vocabulary, the communication skills? Are students of the school taking part in, let's say, open challenge platforms such as the BEHES or the Model United Nations? Is the school participating in international, national robotics, science exhibitions? Plus the focus on learning outcomes. There's been a major shift for parent information by CBSE towards competency-based assessment and focus on learning outcomes, like making learning visible. And as a school, is the school doing a celebration? Like I would say that we have an year-end culmination of our primary year's curriculum into a huge academic carnival, which is actually a celebration and exhibition of the entire year learning, the learning outcomes, a self-managed program. Is there an integration of your visual art, sports curriculum, performing arts, culinary art? So all these things, that's what the parent actually should pose those questions also, because curriculum is like documented. Now anything is documented, it will again be in the hands of us educators how we take it forward. So that's what I wanted to add to. Thank you.
All right. So ma'am, will it be right to say it's these curriculum or boards are like like a Ferrari? Now it's up to you how much you want to unleash the power of this Ferrari and go and hit the skyrocketing overdrive and going to your destination. How early you can. So the school can help you in reaching. So I think most of the times parents blindly decide on the basis of curriculum. With your Soumya ma'am, with your point, I think will it be right to say with the curriculum out of 10, 0 to 10, I think the weightage should be given maybe 3 or 4, but remaining weightage should be given to the school, who's delivering that curriculum, right? So this is just one point. I'm coming to Seema ma'am. Seema ma'am, I would certainly like to take some perspective from you. But one question always revolves around the parents. If someone wants to, from CBSE, children are coming to an IB curriculum. So, what kind of challenges the child faces, and how your curriculum or IB curriculum facilitates the children in terms of getting into a IB in a very comfortable? Does it become very challenging for a child, or it's very much simplified? And as a school generally, as an IB schools, how do these schools help these children?
Okay, the transition from a non-IB curriculum. Can you hear me? Can I switch off the video again?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay, the transition from any IB is easier in the junior classes, in the primary classes. When children haven't acquired habits that last and that are difficult to let go of, what we found children, struggle with is collaborative activities. Most of the time, children are working at their pace, working individually, to work in a collaborative setting and to be able to be a member of a team and to contribute to it is something that they find challenging. Children do find the extended writing that they are expected to do a little bit of a challenge, because what we found is that expectations in terms of an answer for a child in the national school is only an answer to a content question. The child's perspective, the child's analytical abilities are very rarely sought for. So we find that children are unable to analyze, children are unable to debate, they are unable to present their thoughts in a succinct manner when they do their written tasks. However, this is to say that these are challenges that come with, uh, but because we have a differentiated program, a program that allows for differentiation in class, so children are not at the pace of the others, are handheld till the time they acquire the pace, be the pace of the class. And that handholding would require separate 101 classes, require separate worksheets which would cater to their understanding, so that gradually they reach the level of the class. We've also faced certain unique opportunities where children who are extremely gifted and extremely talented join the school. Now, these children have to be nurtured. You cannot treat children who have the average intelligence. So IB by definition offers differentiation not only for children who are slow, who are catching up, who've recently joined, but also for children who are gifted and talented, who need an accelerated program, who need to be taken at the pace that they can go to. Another thing is, when a child joins in, there are a variety of assessments that the child can do. So if the child is uncomfortable writing extensively, then the child can also do a video recording of the child's understanding. And the teacher, till the time the child is ready to do extensive writing, is going to consider that assessment also valid. So I think what supports a child when a child moves in is a lot of flexibility and a lot of differentiation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Seema, ma'am. I'll take few questions, of the audience as well, because I've seen good questions are coming through from the audience. One is all about, from question from Mr. Sandeep Roy, and Mr. Roy is asking, are the foreign boards, which is IB in Cambridge, recognized in India, and how different is the education system compared to our conventional CBSE and ICSE? I think there are plenty of questions. I'll give this question to Dr. Neeta Bali. Ma'am, Neeta ma'am, if in little, short form, I think we can take these
Am I
questions.
audible?
Yeah, you're very much audible. Over to
Hello?
you. You're audible, ma'am. Over to you.
Hello?
Ma'am, you're
Am I
audible.
audible?
Yeah, we can
Yes.
hear you. Yes. Please
Yeah.
carry on.
Yeah. Your question, I think, is the question is more about the acceptability of the international curricula. Is that what you're asking?
Yes. So the question by Mr. Roy is, are the foreign boards, which is IB and Cambridge, recognized in India? First, the question is all
Yes.
about recognition. And the second part, how different is the education system compared to our conventional thing? So I think the latter part of the question has been covered by the speakers here. But I think the first part on the recognition, if we can have a brief answer, ma'am.
Yes. To begin with, let me tell you this, that both Cambridge and IB accredited programs are recognized by AIU. The AIU stands for the Association of Indian Universities. For both curricula, there is a recognition document. Am I audible, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. For both curricula, there is a recognition document that you can find on the website. If you go on the IBO website, www.ibo.org, and on the Cambridge International website, you will find a recognition document. All right. So both curricula are recognized by AIU. If you have taken the AS and A levels, I'm talking about the school leaving examination because we are talking about admission in a college. So I'm talking about school leaving classes. If you do your IB diploma, the AIU says you should have studied a minimum of 6 subjects, 3 at higher and 3 at standard level, to be eligible to go to any university in India which is recognized by UGC. All right. You should have a diploma. And similarly, for the AS and A level, it says you should have a minimum of 2 A levels. You should have cleared a minimum of 2 A levels, but generally we recommend that you should have done a minimum of 3 A levels and 1 AS, which is general English. All right. So they are recognized across India and across the world. Across India and across the world. However, for children who are not able to do the IB diploma and end up with IB courses, there are children who want to follow vocational courses post-secondary. That is, after school, they want to follow vocational education. They do not require a very rigorous school leaving qualification. They may not do the diploma. So they can, in any case, go to a vocational line and can also, they're sometimes accepted in Tier 2 and Tier 3 universities. So to begin with, IB and Cambridge are accepted throughout India and throughout the world. Let me also tell you that the IB diploma, in fact, if you have done well in your IB diploma, you get credits for having done the diploma in the universities overseas, because IB being the most rigorous program and the most well thought through program, most universities look upon IB graduates with great respect, and you get credits, which means that you may not have to study as many courses in the university as the others who have done maybe the national curriculum. So there may be a waiver of some courses by virtue of having studied the IB. I hope that answers your question. Another question, I think Dr. Parampreet has put a
Yes.
question. Are students eligible to take NEET or JEE after IB diploma? I think that's a very legitimate question, and you should ask these questions. NEET and JEE, to be very honest and upfront, NEET and JEE are conducted by CBSE. However, anyone who's doing NEET or JEE will probably take a gap year or will let go of their 11 and 12 in CBSE and start to study for NEET and JEE. So they can only focus on one. A lot of children take a gap year to study for NEET and JEE. So if you're going to study for NEET and JEE, you can very well do it after the IB diploma. That's if you're taking a gap year. All right. Because doing the two simultaneously is not easy at all. But definitely NEET and JEE are more compatible with CBSE.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'll come to Soumya ma'am. Soumya ma'am and Dhriti ma'am. I think this question is specially to both of you. And with the NEP coming into place, National Education Policy 2020, uh, do you really think now, as a CBSE, as a board, you are coming a little closer to the international boards in terms of delivery? So what changes, what positive changes you are expecting, which is going to add little one or two more feather in your cap when it goes to CBSE curriculum?
Soumya, over to you first.
Okay, thank you. What I would say is that with the NEP now coming in, what is happening is that the global practices of education, which CBSE had been adopting in some measure, are now going to be adopted and streamlined across CBSE schools. And the beauty of it is that the spirit of internationalism will further get strengthened in the CBSE curriculum, along with children, along with the education. Still, like, our roots will also not be ignored, because the NEP, if it talks about the spirit of internationalism, it talks about international practices. It also talks about the learning methodologies propagated by Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, Krishnamurti, Vivekanand. So it's like a beautiful, a very positive document, a blend of the Eastern and the Western thought. And in schools, I can now imagine children logging on if they are adopting certain practices. As it is, we are doing inquiry-based curiosity, all that is there, which a couple of years ago, I would say, okay, it's gradually seeped in, will now make a forefront. And yet the schools will, like, children will also be indulging in indigenous games. The inclusion of the vocational stream will now have children working, as I said earlier, with local artisans. It's like, if you look at STEAM education, what are the engineering skills for our little ones? Craftsmanship. What is stopping now a child of, let's say, a 10 or 11-year-old kid who maybe has an bent towards the engineering bent of mind, to indulge in some work of craftsmanship with a local artisan? It could be working in some kind of a mechanical workshop. But yes, these kind of projects, these kind of intern days, which are now going to be laid out, are going to be mandatory, will further give children a lot of scope to explore their own strengths, their inherent talents. And even the subjects, even before the NEP, the subjects have been brought in at different levels. Grade 10, mathematics has been introduced at 2 levels. Assessment has been introduced. Grade 11, CBSE has launched applied mathematics for those kids who may not want to, further on with mathematics as a part of their curriculum in higher education. So all this differentiated learning, and will be more of a focus on personalized and individualized learning now. So definitely NEP, yes, I think is really gives us a lot of happiness and positivity as an educator.
But I think,
Yeah.
but I think, Soumya, everyone has to agree. The most of the progressive CBSE schools have already started doing this long time back. So the NEP, when it comes out and it talks about internationalism, it talks about creativity, it talks about sports and well-being, it talks about skill development. We've been doing that all these years. The only thing is now it will be more streamlined, and there are timelines that have been set.
Yes.
Something will be done by 22, something will happen by 25, something will happen by 2028, and the last is 2030, where I think they're looking at a complete implementation of the NEP.
Right.
So again, as I said earlier also, internationalism is there now. Even in CBSE schools, till grade 5 to grade 8, yes, we as a school can incorporate whatever we feel is good and fit for the children. And that is what most of the progressive schools have been doing.
In fact, if I may just
Yeah,
Over to you, Vivek.
with it now getting streamlined, there is a lot of focus now on having your educators trained for the same. So there's a deliberate focus, a lot of deliberation upon teacher educators getting trained. CBSE has been doing its capacity building programs all these years. But now with that focus and a new framework coming out on teacher education next year. So all this, obviously, when your educators get trained, it starts, seeping down. And CBSE has got its own hubs of learning so that schools can also fall into their own hubs, reach out and collaborate with other schools. So it gets like it's not just vertical growth, but a horizontal growth happening across CBSE schools.
All right. Neeta ma'am, I'll come to you. I think just in very brief, because some questions were also there for ICSC. So is
Yes.
ICSC too difficult to manage? That's the perception, because people feel the English literature and some
Yeah,
subjects
yeah.
are.
Let me come to that.
Yeah.
A lot of people, in fact, that's a very relevant question. I'm glad somebody's raised it here. Shweta has raised it here, saying that she wants to understand what is easier, CBSE or ICSE. I have a completely, unequivocal statement to make. I think definitely CBSE is much easier by virtue of the delivery of the content. One, the number of subjects that you study. Two, but as you very rightly said, the emphasis on English language and literature. Uh, all along, right through, ICSC and ISC have put great focus on the learning of English literature. Whereas I think the CBSE is not able to give that kind of exposure. Way back, I remember there used to be elective English when I started teaching. In the initial years, we used to teach elective English, which is very, very literature centric. But CBSE definitely, the English is more skill based, as I said, earlier also. The focus is more on teaching us skills, and if at all, any content is taught, as far as my knowledge goes, the content that is taught and tested assessment is based more on regurgitating the retention. Whatever you've retained, you have to regurgitate it in the examination, and the kind of questions that are asked. So ICSE and ISC pay great attention to English as a language. There is no denying it. So anyone who's desirous of studying good language, literature and language, English literature and language, should opt for the ICSE and ISC.
Fantastic. Seema ma'am, I've just posted one question for you. This is, I think, by Shweta. She has asked, it's said that IB students may be good in experiential learning, right? But maybe not being able to compete with CBSE and ICSE in Indian competitive exams, right? Which are heavily based on content, writing, reading, focused, etc. Is that the right assumption? So that's the assumption she's talking about, and she wants you to validate if it's a right assumption, or you want to give some more insights on this point.
So it's time. uh, it-
Ma'am, your voice is not clear. Can you put off your camera,
I'm
please?
going to tell you of what particularly happens in our. Um, our- all right.
Please go ahead,
All
ma'am.
right.
It shows low band.
DPS International Gurgaon. We teach the IB curriculum in the true spirit requires to be taught. However, our children also appear for the Olympics and the other. Very proud to say we've had state level toppers. We've had individuals who've come in the top 50. Our children a silver and a gold and a bronze medal at a competition which was international, not just Indian. So there were hundreds of Indian schools that had participated in a maths competition where our children won the silver and the bronze medal. In another competition which was organized by Cathedral and John Connors, which is again a national curriculum school, there were some children, there was a merit list which was taken out. Our children were a part of that merit list. So I'd like to debunk this myth that children in international schools, if parents are looking for something international, I'm sure they're looking for something a little more than what the national curriculum, and which is, and I'd like to say it with a lot of emphasis, that not only do you meet, and it is a requirement of the IB that you keep the national curricular standards in mind, to build on those. So what we teach the same. The content is not going to be something that's going to be made overnight. Content is finite. However, what you teach it, emphasis on concepts that is there, helps to make a very strong foundation to attempt for these exams. However, as Dr. Bali very rightly said, if it's for a NEET or if it's for a JEE, now these exams require very specific content-based preparation. So if a child is doing the IB curriculum, which itself, as everybody has pointed out, is more rigorous than all the other curricula, the child will have to have the day length is not going to increase more than 24 hours. The child is going to have that many hours to study after school. If the child has to compete, the child is in no way any less than the other children studied in the national curriculum to attempt these. But what holds the child back is the disparity in the curriculum. Whereas the child in the biology curriculum in IB is isolating DNA. CBSE schools are several years from isolating DNA and doing tests in their labs. It requires the bacterial cultures. These are things that I did in my master's. So children are doing it in school. Now these who are doing all of this right cannot study for a competitive exam in a curriculum which is vastly different from what they're studying. So they're not inadequate, they're not incompetent. They need
All
to be
right.
given the right kind of time. Given the time, I think they'll be as good as any others. In the junior classes, when they have the time, these children are doing all national Olympiads.
All right. Thank you, Seema ma'am. I'll come to Mrs. Bali. There's a question from Preksha. Preksha, she's asking if we choose IB or Cambridge, and mind this question for Dr. Bali. Dr. Bali, you can answer this question from Preksha. If we choose IB or Cambridge, will admission to international university outside India exempt kids from IELTS or any other exams for entrance? So, is there an exemption which is possible if the student has done a IB or a Cambridge program?
Yes. To begin with, if you've done your IB, English HL or SL, or if you have done your A levels English, A levels, not general English. There are two kinds. A levels English. In that case, you're exempted from the language requirement of most universities. Most universities have different language requirements. The American universities have the TOEFL, and the others, the Canadian universities also look at TOEFL and PTE. However, let me tell an IELTS, but let me tell you this. Uh, Students who study the international curriculum English are exempted from language requirements. However, for Canada, if you require a Canadian study permit, it is mandatory for a student to appear for the IELTS. I'm repeating, it's mandatory in Canada to get a visa, a student permit, irrelevant of whether you have studied in an international school, IB or Cambridge. For a Canadian study permit, a student is expected to take the IELTS and should have a band of 6 and above. In all four bands, should at least have 6 and above. I hope your question's answered.
Thank you. So I'm coming to Dhriti ma'am. Dhriti ma'am, there's one question, from yes. So from Shweta, and Shweta, she's asking, please tell us the difference between CBSE and ICSE in brief. That's fine. I think we have covered this point.
Yes.
But which is easier in terms of volume of content in a class? So the content part, how much pressure is there, and which is better to have focus on sports and extracurricular activity rather just too much burden on content. So, ma'am,
See, I think Dr. Bali's already answered a part of it where she said,
that's what I'm
if
saying.
yeah, if you go by the content, definitely ICSE has an edge, definitely as far as languages and literature is concerned. But CBSE also, I mean, there's no dearth of that. Again, see, Vivek, everything depends on how the school takes the curriculum.
Correct.
right? Whether
That's
it's an IB or an ICSE or an IGCSE or a CBSE curriculum. So it's how the curriculum is taken forward, and you cannot say a CBSE is easier or an ICSE is easier. The only thing is that when it comes to subjects, which Dr. Bali had again put across, an ICSE would have a geography and a history and an economics, separate. The number of subjects are more,
more.
yes, compared to CBSE, which has an integrated social sciences. That is all. Otherwise, see, when you go by the learning parameters, worldwide they would be same, right? Again, how you do it with whatever curriculum deals with that particular you could say a concept or something, is again depends on how it is taken there. When we talk about IB, it's more inquiry based. When you go into how, what, when, where, right? And again, a CBSE would also do it. Again, as I said, again, I reiterate that till grade 5 or till grade 8, you can take the curriculum the way you want to. Even ninth onwards, it's not that the CBSE doesn't ask you to go into inquiry, or it stops you from any kind of skill development or anything. No, it does not. So again, it depends from school to school, is what I feel and I understand.
Soumya ma'am, I'm just one more question for you. Now, at a very initial age in nursery, KG, I think most of the parents, as I was discussing earlier with you, they look at different curriculums. So, at a lower grades, uh, how important is for a parent to consider the curriculum, especially when it's the child looking for admission in a grade 3 nursery or nursery? That point of time, one quick questions, just a short reply. So I want to cover 5, 6 more questions. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah. I would say at that stage, forget about the board. Look at the school. Look, what does the school say about the curriculum? What is the school saying? Do they have an age appropriate phonics program where children's listening and speaking skills of the little ones can be developed? Do they have an age appropriate reading literacy, basic literacy and numeracy skills leading on? Try to understand that from the school. All schools talk about playful learning and hands-on learning, but is it really playful learning? I hope this what the parent needs to understand is that playful learning doesn't mean where there is an educator who's telling them, okay, now you indulge in this sensory play activity, then you move on and you do this puzzle. Where is the playful? Where is the joy of learning then? It has to be that child is able to exert his or her exercise his or her freedom of choice, what the child wants to pick up first, which activity he or she wants to engage in. So the child's day plan, how a day life in that school will be, how transparent the school is, how rigorous their safety and security measures are. Those are like, is it going to be a comfortable environment for my child? That is what the parent needs to gauge at. Look at the infrastructure, look at the comfortableness of the environment, look at the educators, meet them personally, visit the campus, look at how they are going to deliver the literacy and the numeracy skills. That's what all these words are very fancy, but how is it being carried on? That is what is needed.
Okay, I think there's so much to discuss in this topic because this topic is very, very wide. I'll just request all my panelists to give, because I think in case if you have missed out touching on some important points, so 2 minutes each of you, please take 2 minutes, make your closing remarks and touch upon those topics, those sides, those perspectives, which we have not been able to cover, but that's important for a parent to understand. Over to you, Dr. Bali.
Just now, I just read a parent asked a question. Is it possible to switch from one curriculum to the other? Can you possibly switch from IB to CBSE? You can. You can very comfortably switch. Let me tell you that there is always a short period of acclimatization. When you switch from CBSE to IB or Cambridge, particularly to IB, there is a short period of adjustment. And during that period of adjustment, generally schools will put you through very rigorous orientation so that you can understand the IB if you switch from CBSE to IB. And let me tell you, we've had children who moved from grade 10 CBSE into IB in grade 11 and 12 and have stopped. So there is absolutely no problem. Switching from CBSE to IB is little more tough, as I said, acclimatization. But switching from IB to CBSE is relatively simple. Is that straight as that?
Okay, that's wonderful. Seema ma'am, your closing remarks.
Uh, just that the world's become, even if our children do not go out to study, they will still have to work with an international media. And an education in an international school might not make it necessary that you have to go and study abroad, but it will definitely prepare your culturally adapt and adjust with other children from countries because they've studied in an international school. So I think an international school gives you that edge.
Okay, thank you so much, Seema ma'am. Dhriti ma'am, I'll request you to please present your last closing remarks, or in case if we have missed out touching on some
No,
points.
I don't think so. We missed out on anything, Vivek. See, the children who are keen on, I mean, the parents who are keen on taking admissions to nurseries and KGs and toddlers or whatever class. See, we really do not know 12 years or 14 years from now, when these children reach up to the senior classes and the higher education, we don't even know what jobs are going to be there,
True.
right? So, if as schools, be it a CBSE or an ICSE or an IB or an IGCSE school, we have the children ready for that unforeseen future, I think we've done our work. That's it.
Brilliant. Super. Thank you. Soumya ma'am, your last closing remarks.
Yeah, I would only like to, it's a humble request to all the parents, because Gurgaon as a city for schools is like it's spoiled parents for choices. Take that time out for your child, visit the school, log on to their websites, keeping today's times in mind, their Facebook pages, the kind of activities. Have, if not, if you can't visit, at least have virtual interactions in today's times with the educators. Try to understand what the school is offering. Will the school, in its nurturing in the nascent years, be a platform which will be a platform for free expression, free play for your child? Will it be a comfortable platform also? Go by your instinct, get in touch with the educators, speak to them repeatedly, understand a day's agenda, because the prime thing on our mind is, where is my child and what he or she is doing when they are away from the parents. That is a constant worry on the parents' mind. So please try to understand that. Look at the basic literacy, coding, artificial intelligence, vocabulary, everything. If a school is catering in its nascent stage, when the formative years are in place, the foundation is set, well, I think you've made an ideal choice for your child at that time. So that is my only submission, that look at the school, visit it, look at the attrition rate of the school, look at the educators, look at the people behind the scenes, who are the ones like who are actually, is the school giving sufficient training to its educators? What are the qualifications of the educators? Is the school investing in teacher education? That should also be one of the parameters which a parent really should look at. So that's what my submission is.
So, Soumya ma'am, that was right from your heart. You have
Yes.
expressed your heart, and that's so nice of you. And with the permission of all the esteemed panelists, I'll close this session. My special gratitude and thanks to each one of the attendees here. And always, all of us enjoy doing sessions in Gurgaon, because here, this is a city where you find a different intellectual class of parents who are aware, and they always like to explore more. And that's the beauty of the city. Thank you so much, each and every attendee, for joining this session. And my special gratitude and thanks to my esteemed panelists for making Premier Schools exhibition for this session, and all your support, and always you support not only the school sector, but even look at the engagement between the schools and the parent side. So that shows how progressive your schools are. And thank you so much once again. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Vivek.
Thank you.
And bye bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.